Okay, in this video, I want to talk a little bit about diet. As you may or may not have gotten from previous videos, I have decided to put myself on a keto diet. My goal in life during this treatment is to ensure that the number of grams that I take into my body are less than 20 grams. I have learned that every carbohydrate converts 100%, 1-to-1, into glucose in your body. So carbs are sugar, bread is sugar, potatoes are sugar. Everything that is carbs is sugar. Now, if it has fiber, that fiber is indigestible. It passes through your gut. So whatever the item is, fiber is a carb, but it's an indigestible carb. So you can look at the carbs in the container. If it's 20 grams in the container per serving and 19 grams of fiber, well, you're only getting 1 gram of of what's being converted to sugar. So if in my opinion, sugar is the enemy of cancer in general, there are exceptions to that rule, but by and large, cancer loves sugar. It's its first go-to, and if you look at it under a PET scan, which I have, it lights up like a light bulb while it's chewing down on the radiated or the tracer material that's inserted into the sugary material that's inserted into your body that a PET scan takes a picture of. It lights up like a light bulb because cancer cells are among the most active in your body, and they're having a feast on the sugar that's just been injected and is now being traced. So, I mean, that's just absolute clear evidence that it loves sugar. Yes, it can handle glutamine in the absence of sugar. There are even a few cancers that I understand or hear can actually use ketones, but those are also by far the exceptions. Most cancers, from what I understand, cannot survive on ketones. And if you stop eating sugar, then your body switches to producing ketones. Your liver generates ketones from your fat tissues, and your body is energized on ketones and not glucose. Your cancer cells have less glucose to survive on, though your body will manufacture some glucose, no matter what, for those organs that require some level of glucose. But the rest of your cells do perfectly wonderful on ketones, and so my goal is at the very least to handicap it to the degree possible. And so these are the kinds of foods that I eat. And let's just go over these a little bit. This is steamed cabbage. Steam it, eat a little bit of it at a time. Cabbage has carbs in it, but not very many. I have found that you don't want to eat a whole half a cabbage at one time, which I have done. That ups the ante. So just use that as a small part of your meal and you're wonderful. Ground beef, in this case ground venison, ground beef. I do my very best to get sustainably raised, organic, non-factory farm meats. There are times when I haven't been able to succeed at that, but it is always my goal. Unsalted butter, no downside to butter. I get the very best butter that I can find, and it's just full of fat, which is no problem on this kind of fat. Is not carbs. Fat gets used as an energy source, but it does not relate to carbs. So you can have all the fat you want, you can have all the protein you want. Fish, obviously, great deal of protein. In the case of salmon, they are a fatty fish, so you get the best of both worlds. Cottage cheese, you got to be a little bit more careful about this. You use it as a portion or in your juicer. You wouldn't want to eat the whole thing at once, but it's still very lean on carbs, very high on proteins. This is a provolone cheese. There are many cheeses that are automatically winners on the lack of carbs, high protein, high fat. Not a problem. Love it. Nice treat. This is sliced turkey, and these are going to be good. And this is something I'm going to do as I move forward. This and this. On meals ready to eat, almost like a military style. You're going to have to start preparing things in packages that you throw in your cooler. For instance, here's a cooler. Okay, that's what I call my cancer cooler. I throw meals ready to eat, packaged, zip-locked, along with an ice pack in there, cover it up, take it with me for the day. Whenever I need those calories, they're there. And that's especially important when you're going to treatment. You're on your way to, sometimes I spend a full day getting radiation and chemo. And so that's the lunch that you need you need that 2,000 calories a day, or whatever the number is going to be. So you got to have this ready to go. Keto bread. There are a couple of breads out there that are surprisingly low on carbs. You've got to search for them. This is one of them. Another one is called Sola, S-O-L-A, and look for those. Again, no more. If I'm going to have a hamburger, for instance, this is the bread that I'm going to use, if I use any bread at all. Sometimes I don't. Tuna fish, like any other fish, for the most part, always good, full of protein. Not as fatty as the salmon, but a good meal. Eggs, man, I can't get enough of eggs. In the morning, this morning, I had 6 scrambled eggs with some Swiss cheese and some avocado mixed in. And it perfectly wonderful, carb-less food, no bread. I had a side of spinach with that meal. Great healthy breakfast and start to the day. You've got to, when you buy things like ketchup or whatever it is you buy, you can't just buy any old brand. You've got to research what's on the label, drop it into ChatGPT or one of the others, and say, does this qualify for a keto-friendly ketchup? And if you're not sure about one next to another, put 2 or 3 ketchup bottles, brands next to each other right there on the shelf. Point to the nutrition label and ask them which one of these is better and why, and it'll pick for you. Absolutely fantastic resource. Olives, great snack if you like them. Not much fat, no carbs. It says it says less than 1 carb, no protein. They're not really, I don't know what the heck is in an olive. There's certainly not much there, but a tasty little snack that certainly doesn't add any downside. These are what I use for my juice. Now, I don't just juice. I use a Vitamix blender, which you see over here, and it's an industrial strength. And it will take all of this and turn it into a juice. It's so powerful. Nothing survives it. It turns it into a juice. The fiber stays in there. Everything stays in there, so you lose nothing. Now we have organic spinach, and I go for organic wherever I can find it. And in fact, I pretty much exclusively go for organic and don't buy it if it's not. Organic radishes, organic zucchini, organic English cucumber. Could not find an American cucumber in our stores over here in the Pacific Northwest. Don't know why that is. And of course, the organic asparagus, otherwise known as asparagus. These are a bit of a miracle food. This is your avocado. These are organic, and I buy quite a few of those. High calorie content, high fat content, no carbs. They thicken up a juicy beautifully. A little bit of those, a little bit of cottage cheese. It will help to thicken, smooth things out, and make things nice. You can even throw a few raspberries in there. Raspberries are kind of the only fruit that is very low in carbs. You can't use too many of them, but you can use some of them to give it a little bit of sweetener. Okay, I think that covers what's on the table this is a normal eating pattern for me, what you see here. I also have sardines, which are not displayed on this list. I've got those over here. You can see them in the back. A lot of people don't like sardines, and frankly, when you're going through chemo and you get an upset stomach, they can be a little bit tough on you. But they are a miracle food, lots of protein, lots of the right trace minerals and nutrients, and as long as you get the one with only virgin olive oil and no other additives. These drinks, if you're going through chemo, you need a lot of fluid. You should be drinking probably one and a half of these a day. This is 1.2 liters. If you drink too much, it's not really a big deal if you drink 2 of these a day. I drink pretty much 1.5 of these per day, one of these 1.2 liters containers. I put water in it, and then I put powdered mixture in it, which I'll show you a link on what that powdered mixture is. I've done plenty of research, and that mixture contains all your electrolytes and ensures that you have the salts and the minerals and the nutrients that you need that you wouldn't normally get from just native water. This is my baking soda and salt solution. Once you're going through radiation in the mouth, in my case, the back of your throat is going to start to burn, And the baking soda in the salt and water, it's a natural solution. It will bathe the area, and it will affect the pH. And that's baking soda brings down pH. It makes things less acidic. I learned that from my days as being in the aquarium business. Actually, we used to bring down the acidity in pH in aquariums by adding baking soda as needed, and turns out to be a wonderful thing, and it works on the inside of your mouth. So you want to have that handy when you need it. You always want to have a full bottle of that when you leave the house in the morning, and add to it as you need it. Talking a little bit about electrolytes. Here's a box of goodies that I used when I was on something called the snake diet, for those who have ever heard of that sort of thing. And it's when you wanted to put yourself in ketosis, and it was a water-only diet. And I created this from, as taken from that YouTube video right there. And you know, the guy had done a lot of research about the electrolytes that your body needed. And so I got the Himalayan pink salt, baking soda, or AKA sodium bicarbonate, Epsom salt, and this is good, kosher, you know, food grade. I'm always looking for the very best ingredients, and a product called no salt. And a half a teaspoon of those in a container like this, in place of something that you might buy off the shelf, will do the trick. It may not taste quite as good. This one's got some kind of a slight fruit tint to it, but not enough to where it's actually upsetting the apple cart with respect to carbs. Again, I'll show you those, but raw ingredients work fine to accomplish the same goal. So I'm about to make a juice right now with our Vitamix. I have not invested in yet, and I will, the containers, so that I have, you know, 3 or 4 of those ready to go that I can put in my cooler along with my water, because that's a high nutrient content juice, and it'll add calories, it'll add a lot of nutrition to my day in addition to these other things. So you want to get not only meal ready to eat containers that'll carry one of these, maybe your sardines, maybe hamburgers, whatever it may be. The hard-boiled eggs, that's a constant for me. I have a little hard-boiled egg maker, which I'll be showing you shortly, and it results in me always having hard-boiled eggs ready to go for an important protein nutrition shot. I almost forgot, I also add this Barlean's flax, chia, and coconut to my juice mix, and a little whey protein powder, specifically from Bob's Red Mill, to my juice mix. Okay, so I've just packed in some radishes, some spinach, and some asparagus, which you can see on the top, and really couldn't fit anything else in there. And we'll let that dice up, and then we'll add more to it. I did put some water in the bottom to get things kind of moving. We'll turn that dial on a little bit, and this pulses it. By holding that, it'll pulse it at the bottom. Chop a few things up, and that helps at the beginning, and then let it rip. And then push down from the top as you need. Okay, you can see here, we're going to throw these wonderful avocados in there to thicken things up. We have now our cottage cheese, some raspberries, some zucchini, a little bit more avocado, and I think I have just about topped that thing off. When it's all said and done, you end up a blender full of wonderfulness that looks like that, and pours like that. You can imagine how nutrient dense that mix must be. Bon appetit. It's pretty thick. I think I'll have half now and half later. But it is delicious and it's packed full of nutrients. Okay, so this video would not be complete without talking about coffee. I still drink my coffee. I do limit myself 90% to decaf. And I order, I mean, there's so many different coffees out there. I won't be overselling that kind of stuff. I use a product called Grounds for Change. It's, you know, organic, sustainable, all the wonderful things that you could hope for in a coffee, but there are other coffees that do the same thing. So choose your poison. I like to keep caffeine to a minimum anyway, and so this is wonderful. I have an espresso machine. I use pods that we bought online instead of an espresso pod, so that way I can put in whatever kind of coffee I want. They look like this. I found them on Amazon. And sugar and cream. Let's talk about sugar and cream. Sugar's out, right? I like sugar and cream, but you can't have sugar. Pull up a chair. So I have found these guys. Let's see, is it that? Hold on. Okay, Sweet Leaf Organic Stevia, 0 calorie sweetener. Now, if you look closely at the ingredients, which it doesn't really give you any ingredients on there, they must be on the box itself, which, here we go. Here's the box. So stevia is a generic term. Do not think that by buying stevia, you are automatically getting the right ingredients. Stevia is generic. It's a plant, just like sugar is a plant, except this does not raise your glucose. You can see total sugars 0, carbohydrates 0, and I got to tell you, no added sugars, no protein, just whatever that plant material is. There's absolutely no additions. Some of, oh, hold on a second now. They're hiding under this label. Possible additions, and now I can't see it. Something stevia leaf extract. I did the research of this guy, and it was as good as it gets, but unfortunately they have hidden under there something that I would like to reveal to you. So go ahead and look that up. It's called Sweet Leaf Stevia, and it was the best that I could find for any stevia extract. A lot of them actually even have dextrose. They say in the raw stevia, and the number one ingredient is dextrose, which is a sugar, and totally against the plan. And now here's a surprise to a lot of people. This is heavy whipping cream. It's from a local dairy in this area, and instead of half and half, I usually use half and half. Well, it turns out that half and half has carbs, but heavy cream does not. It has fat, it has protein, it has 0 carbs. Half and half has carbs, so I simply replace my half and half with this. It's rich, it's better, it's really tasty. It does occasionally leave a few buttery type droplets on the top of your coffee, but believe me, it's delicious, and it keeps you in the keto diet because it has 0 carbs. So that's what I do for my cup of coffee. I'll show you the end result in just a moment. Okay, so there is what the coffee looks like coming out of the Nespresso machine. For those that have those, they'll be familiar with that foam on the top. It's kind of nice. A crema, I guess they call it. And then you got to give this a good shaking because heavy cream does tend to settle at the top. I like to use these tongue depressors. You know, I used to use the thin ones, and then I ordered these tongue depressors. Get that open over there. A lot thicker, and just do the job a little bit better. And just like with half and half, just get it to the color that you like. And bon appetit. If you look carefully, you can see the little butter oily spots here and there. That's typical of the heavy cream, but it tastes wonderful, and it's completely keto friendly. No carbs. So I got to show you this technique, honey. I press the power button. I set the temp to 250. I set the timer to 10 minutes. I put the butter on the bottom, the salmon in there, the Old Bay on top. I shut the lid and I walk away for 10 minutes. It'll shut itself off automatically, so I don't have to be back in 10 minutes. I can come back in 12, 15, whatever. It'll be under that and perfect. Okay, while I'm waiting on that beautiful salmon to get done and put on that plate with a little lemon, I've got my hard-boiled egg maker here. I'll put a little bit of water into that. Drains below the eggs. Put my top on. Turn that up to 20 minutes. 20 minutes later, that comes back with 8 perfect hard-boiled eggs. And that ends up looking like this. Bon appetit. I hope you enjoyed that video that talks all about food and diet and that kind of stuff. It gives you some insight into how I think, and you know, it's all about starving the cancer of sugar to the degree that it's possible. There are going to be plenty of people that don't agree, and this is kind of cutting edge stuff. The jury's still out on some of it, but the logic is there as far as I'm concerned, so I'm all in. And there's really no downside to cutting sugar out of your diet, cutting carbs out of your diet. It's a healthier way to live, even if you didn't have cancer. Now, let's talk about calories, because if there's anybody in the cancer business, oncologists and so on, they're very conscious about a keto diet because it predisposes you to lose weight because you're taking in less carbs, and it is going to be eating the fats off your body. So you need to be able to replenish that with calories. So whatever the food is that you're eating, you need to make sure that you're getting more of it or enough of it to get to the calorie count that you and your doctors have agreed is necessary, which in my case I think is around 2,300 calories per day. Now, I started off at 204, which was fat. I was heavy. I was overweight. I've been overweight by 20 pounds for 20 years. And so on some level, I'm 189 right now, so I've dropped, and that's expected with this kind of a diet. And I think 185 would be a reasonable number for me. Quite frankly, it might even be 180. But I will not drop any lower than that. I can assure you, whatever the calorie count that needs to be there, I'll be watching it. I'll be making sure that that weight is at or above where it should be, so that I have the calories in my body and the energy reserve to fight the cancer, to repair the damage that's been done. So that's the goal. Strong immune system and enough calories to provide the energy I need to repair the damage along the way. Once again, let me say thank you for honoring me, for those who have chosen to watch this video, whether you're friends of mine or family, or whether you're people that are dealing with cancer yourself and have stumbled on my channel. It does honor me in some way for you to take the time out of your life and your day to listen to these videos. So thank you for that. Bye-bye.